So today we'll be making Sunday sauce, or as in the US they call it Sunday gravy. One of my favorite days. I'll give you the ingredients. I'm going to be making some meat sauce today. I'll be using Italian sausage, some ribs, which I've already prepped and cleaned. It's basically some onion, about a full onion, a bunch of garlic, and of course fresh basil. You cannot make sauce without fresh basil, and some parsley. You could also use make meatballs or what have you, but today I just want to use the sausage and the ribs, as well a couple jars of this tomato passata. Okay. Garlic doesn't have to be cut fine, I just like it chopped, kind of a rustic look. And that's set and we're gonna go. Okay, what I like to do is give the meat a quick boil in hot boiling water for about 2 minutes, and then we'll take you to the next step.
Go.
So after 2 minutes, I just like to take out the meat. What I want to do now is just cut the slices of sausage in thirds, nice sizes, like that, and then we'll take the sausage and the ribs to the pot to brown. All right, so now what I want to do is brown the meat. I've got a nice pot on high heat. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons of olive oil. So what you want to hear is that sizzling, that browning of the meat. It's very important to brown the meat. It actually gives it flavor. There's a saying that if you don't brown the meat, you don't give it flavor. So you want to hear that sizzling? You hear that? You're basically letting it brown. There you go. That's beginning a great flavor. Okay, after 4 or 5 minutes, you'll see how the meat browns up nicely. So what I do is I just gradually take the meat out as it browns and put it aside. That's a nice color there. You want to get that type of color. Again, you need browning, you need some color on the meat, or there's no flavor. Okay, browning gives you flavor. And at the bottom of this pan is so much flavor being gathered. That's a lot of goodness down there. Well, I'll show you in a couple minutes how you're going to turn that into good flavor. Alright, so we're just basically now taking them out and putting it aside into a different pot. Alright, I told you about that brown goodness at the bottom of the pot. Don't be afraid of that. That's not burnt. That's a lot of flavor. What I want to do now is basically just sweat down the onions and the garlic. Okay? Now the key here is to sweat them down slowly and not burn them. You just work it slowly. Because if you're burning them, it actually doesn't taste great at all. You want to slowly sweat them down. Basically, you bring in the heat down to low. Okay, add a little bit more olive oil. You can just sweat them right down. You want to hear some light sizzling. That's some good color. Slowly that brown stuff at the bottom of the pot is going to disappear. All right, what I want to do now is just put in a little bit of that passata tomato sauce in there. I'm going to start the cooking process of the sauce. And I told you earlier about that browning at the bottom of the pan. You see how it's still there? Again, that's a lot of flavor. We're going to deglaze the pot now with a little bit of red wine. All right, some people use white wine. I like using red wine because it gives the sauce afterwards a little bit of extra depth and color, more red in color, and I really like that. So just give it a little stir. Now you can start bringing up the heat to medium-high. Notice how all of a sudden, see that brown? It's pretty much gone. We've deglazed the bottom of the pot using the red wine. Okay, you see it now on medium heat. You get a little bit of boiling happening there. The red wine is actually dissipating away. I forgot to mention, when you're using wine when you cook, don't use any cheap wine. Use wine that you're actually going to drink, and it'll make your food that much better. Okay, now what we want to do is just add a bit more of the passata right in there. And now we start building the sauce back with the meat. So the meat just basically gets put right back in. Mix it. Place it in there, nice. Okay, like the browning on the sausages. You see that again, the browning on the sausage, very important. We're almost there. And then we're gonna let this baby cook low and slow. There's a little bit of that juice there from the meat. Put it in. Again, it's all about flavor. All right, so we're almost there. We got the heat on high. We're gonna put in the remaining sauce. You wanna just put enough there to cover just the top of the meat. Okay, get it all settled in there. Okay. There you go. And now you're putting on high heat. You want to start it to get a rumbling boil. Let's not forget a little bit of salt to start. Some pepper. I always say you always season to taste. Everybody's different. Some people like it a little peppery or hot or salty, which have you. Start out with a little bit, and then gradually you would taste it as the sauce cooks. The sauce is going to cook on low heat for the next 3 hours, okay? Low and slow. What happens there is the meat on the ribs gradually would just fall off the bone. The sausages become nice and soft and moist, and the sauce itself becomes a deep red and really rich in flavor. All right, so now you got on high. Just in case any of you guys thought I had forgotten, we still have the fresh herbs. So we got basil, we got parsley, fresh basil. You know what? I don't actually cut it. I take it and you just rip it like that, and you put it in. Actually, if you cut it, what happens is sometimes you bruise the leaf, and you don't want to do that. So the fresh basil in there, this smells great. Parsley, rip it, put it in, and that's going to give you just fantastic flavor. A little bit more salt, and just stir that in. Okay, we got it on a high heat right now. Looks great, good color. The basil is going to give this sauce some fantastic flavor, and it's already smelling great. So, looking good there. I want to add just a bit more of the sauce, and now you just let it settle like this. And we're going to get this thing boiling for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. Okay, so 3 or 4 minutes have passed. You notice it's bubbling, it's boiling. You want to bring it to a boil. Very important. One last stir. Mix up all that meat in there. Give the pot a little shake. Have it where the sauce liquid just covers the tops of the meats. Okay, and now we're putting this thing on low. We're going to cover it. Give it a little air. So what I do is I just use my wooden spoon there on the end, on the edge. And now we're on low. And you're letting it cook here on low for about 3 hours. The longer the better. I like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And every 20 minutes, I'll just come in here, I'll lift the lid and give it a little stir and a shake just to get it all settled and make sure that everything is in order. And I'll gradually taste it to see for seasoning. All right? So we'll see in a bit. Okay, so we're about 20 minutes in. If you notice that little bubbling that was happening there, that's what you want to see. The color of the sauce is getting a nice deep red. So what you want to do is just give it a little shake, a little stir, move the meat around in there. Set it up again. Make sure the meat is submerged into the sauce. All right, so another 20 minutes has passed by. So what you want to do now is, again, you want to see that bubbling, which is great. Now is when you want to give it a taste for the seasoning, right? Remember I said earlier, you season to taste. So you taste it and see what you think. I think it's fine. If at this time you think you need some salt or added pepper or whatever it may be, that's when you add it. It looks good to me. So again, another stir and another shake, and we're good to go for another 25-30 minutes. So after about almost 3.5 hours, the sauce is ready. That looks pretty tasty. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Take out a couple pieces of the meat. Smells great. The sauce is thickened. I told you earlier about using the red wine. Gives you a nice darker, rubier red sauce. And what I'm gonna do is, what I did also is boiled up a little bit of pasta, some penne over here. So I'm gonna do a little snack right now. So let's do and try how this thing is going to taste. Put a little cheese on my pasta. All right. Piece of sausage, piece of the rib. I want to show you the rib, how the meat just falls right off of the bone. That looks great. And the sausage, perfect. Let's give it a try. Fantastic. Ribs, great. And of course the pasta, awesome. I've got some bread here, so you can dip it into the sauce or the gravy, as we also call it. And last but not least, remember I said earlier, if you're gonna use wine to cook, make sure you drink it as well. Happy Sunday.